over to you.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to these sessions. I'm Ning Ning from Singapore University of Social Sciences. So today, I would like to share with you our recent work on the modeling of the spreading of COVID-19 in Singapore using a SEIR multiplex network model. This is an overview. Of my talk. I'll first share with you the situation in Singapore. Then I'll briefly talk about the susceptible, exposed, infectious, recover model, which is the SEIR model. I will also share with you how we model social interactions using multiple overlapping networks. This includes a layer of household network, a dormitory network, a workplace network, a temporal crowd network, and a temporal social gathering networks. So as in many other studies, we use real-world data to calibrate the computations. After that, we study the dynamics of the effective reproduction number. So this page here was retrieved from Singapore Ministry of Health website on 14 August 2020. There are 4 panels. They show the daily new cases in total within the community and also within dormitory residents, as well as those imported from other countries. Note that Singapore's special interest in dormitory workers stem from the occurrence of a variant spread within the dormitory cluster in Singapore. And out of the 55,580 cases, 52,595 are dormitory workers. In addition, we have 2,200 community cases and 784 imported cases. Singapore reported its first COVID-19 case on 23rd January 2020. And from 7 April to 1st June, which is the area shaded in gray here, Singapore implemented a nationwide partial lockdown to restrict the interaction among its residents. We call this contention measure the circuit breaker. So during this period, all non-essential workplaces were closed. Also, social movement are also restricted. I'm going to introduce the SEIR model. For those who know this well, please bear with me for a couple of minutes. In the SEIR model, individuals are classified into 4 infection stages, namely susceptible, exposed, infectious, and recover. Susceptible individuals are individuals that can get infected after exposed to the virus. All individuals in the population are assumed to be susceptible to the virus before the pandemic begins, and the model starts when the first infectious cases is imported into the population of susceptible individuals. After a susceptible individual come into contact with an infectious individual, the susceptible individual become exposed with a probability of P. And it takes TE days on average before an exposed individual becomes infectious. Once the status of an individual changed from exposed to infectious, it spread the virus to each of its susceptible contact with a probability P. Here, each individual can become infectious for TI days. TI is assumed to be gamma distributed to take care of a different number of days that an individual can become infectious. Some are shorter, some are longer, depend on when they saw symptoms and when are they isolated. So after TI days, an individual will change, the status will change from infectious to recover. Once the status changes to recover, the individual can no longer spread the virus, and the individual is no longer susceptible to the disease. The coronavirus spread through a simple mechanism of human to human contact. So how we interact determine how the virus spread. Here we use a complex network to model social interactions. The network consists of 5 layers. The household network captures the social interaction among family members within the household. It is represented by a network with community structure, and connection within a household is denser compared to connection between households. Dormitory network, on the other hand, captures social interaction within worker dormitories. Dormitories house a much larger number of residents compared to normal household. It have also a larger number of connections. A workplace network is used to model the social contact within and between workplaces. Here, we include also a temporal social gathering networks to model social gathering, for example, religious services, physical academic conference, or any large-scale functions. In the model, groups are formed uniformly at random, and this group have a topology of scale-free temporal network each day. Lastly, we use a temporal crowd network to model short-term interactions amongst random groups of individuals each day. This can be interaction in public spaces like parks, markets, or within the transportation system. Since this is a short-term context, so the probability for spreading is assumed to be smaller compared to normal contact. And the aim to do this is to emulate the different forms of real-world social interactions in order to examine the effectiveness of various intervention strategies against the spread of COVID-19. So by all these categorizations, we are able to tweak social interactions in the mathematical models. For example, we can turn off the interaction in the social gathering networks. We can turn off 30% of connection in workplace network. With this, we can using the mathematical model, we study the different strategy, and this can be studied during different phases of the pandemic. Here we simulate the epidemic dynamics in Singapore from 21st January 2020 to 13 May 2020. At each simulated day, M individuals are selected uniformly at random to model the M number of imported cases. And this number of imported cases can be obtained from Singapore Ministry of Health website. We simulate 50 realization of the pandemic with our model and select 20% of them which best fit the epidemic curve under study. there are a number of parameters to be set, but the value of the parameters are either drawn from literature or they are calibrated from the data. I will not go through the detail of all the parameters here, but just to give a few examples. For example, we are using a population size of 2 million, and out of which 110,000 are connected in a dormitory network, and 45% of the populations are connected within the workplace network. The infection probability is set to be 0.1. So this graph here on the right show the cumulative number of cases. There are 6 curves here. The first 2 curves give the real data. The third and the fourth curve give the simulation results when circuit breaker which is the contention measure that Singapore implemented from 7 April to 1st of June is coded in the model. The last 2 curves are also simulation result, but for these 2, the circuit breaker is not included. So if you look at the black curve here, this black curve here gives the data for the overall cases. Means this include the cases within dormitory, cases within community, as well as those imported from other countries. The orange curve here give our simulation results, and the vertical line here give the standard deviations. The red curve here give the simulation results, but for this circuit breaker is not coded in the model. So as you can see, the infection number would be much higher if the contention measure was not implemented according to our simulations. This inset here show the enlarged view of this tree curve, which give the total infection within the community. So this means those exclude the imported case and does not happen within the dormitory. So the blue curve give the real data, and we have the green curve here which give the simulation results, and the purple curve here give the simulation results without circuit breaker. So it's clear from these simulations that if the contention measure is not implemented, both the community case and also the overall case will be much higher. So this table here show the parameter that we use in our simulations. I'll not go through all the detail here, but if anyone of you are interested in this, all these details are also given in our preprints, which we have uploaded to Met Archive. I'll give the detail of the preprint at the end of my presentations. So then we use the simulated epidemic dynamics to study the effective reproduction number. The basic reproduction number, which we call R0, is defined as the number of secondary cases caused by an infected individual. So if R0 is above 1, the number of infectious cases increase and occurrence of an outbreak is expected. If R0 is below 1, the number of infectious cases diminishes and the epidemic will be well contained. Here we study the effective reproduction number instead of the basic one, because this effective reproduction number is the number of secondary cases caused by an infected individual in a partially susceptible populations. Here we use the branching process estimator to estimate the reproduction number. Here from the simulations, we have the daily number of new cases. We then group these into M generations, taking into account the incubation period, the TE. The dynamical reproduction number can then be estimated using this equation here. So this figure here gives the reproduction number, the effective reproduction number. Here in the figure, we observe 3 waves. By wave here, we simply mean the moment when the reproduction number is above 1. So one around 13th February, another one around 26th February, and the third one around 29 March. Interestingly, these 3 waves are related to the 3 major infection cluster reported in Singapore. The first one is related to an infection cluster at the Church of the Grace Assembly of God. And this cluster have ultimately caused an infection of 33 cases. The second one is related to a private functions, and this has led to a 48 number of cases. Indeed, the first 2 waves are extremely small compared to a third one, which is a circulation of COVID-19 within the dormitory of the foreign workers. And as of now, this cluster have infected more than 50,000 of foreign workers. The circuit breaker ended on 1st of June. But before that, we have used the data up to 13th of May to do the calibrations, and then we continue the simulation up to end of June. And we use this to study the effect of gradual lifting of the contention measure. So if you look at the figure on the right, which show the reproduction number. So if you look at the orange curve, we notice that by end of May, the RE, which is a effective reproduction number, is maintained at a level which is just slightly below 1. So if Singapore were to lift the contention measure abruptly, there is a risk of another wave of transmissions, which is shown by the red curve here. But if you do this gradually, then we'll follow the orange curve, which will be no another wave of transmissions. So just a few concluding remarks. So in summary, we use the Seir model with multiplex network to study the evolution of effective reproduction number for COVID-19 in Singapore. And all the detail of this work can be found in the preprint that we've uploaded to medRxiv. And with this, I would like to end my presentation here. Thank you for your attentions. And I'm happy to take any questions, comments, or suggestions.
Thank you very much, Ning Ning.
Yeah,
so
thanks.
Do we have any questions from the participants, the audience? Again, I don't have any already, so if you do have one, then please write it now. Otherwise, well, I guess my question to you is, well, so is Singapore following your advice or not?
Yeah, actually we have do the lifting in phase. We have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and for example during phase 1, we have 30% of people are allowed to go back to their workplace, and then we have phase 2, phase 3. Yeah, so it's considered a gradual lifting.
So it is following the best case that you put forward. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. So, well, then we have no further questions. So thank you once again for that talk, nice talk. And let's move on to the, oh, wait a minute. Do I have a question here? Oh, we do have a question. Could you show us a numerical model? Or if you have a slide showing us the numerical model, then you could do that. Otherwise, maybe we could do that in, you could do that
Okay,
offline.
so the model is indeed an agent-based model. So we have all these agents as our residents. So and then this agent can be classified into different status. They can be susceptible, exposed, infectious, or recover. So and then they are connected using the network approach. So and when the model start, everyone is susceptible, and then you just import some infectious status to the nodes according to the imported cases. So using the real data, you know on which day how many imported cases we have, and then we just put those into your model, and then this will start to spread to all of its contacts if the contacts are susceptible, so with a probability of P, and you do this once per day. So for every day, so for the close contact, you will have a 0.1 probability to spread to its you just do this repeatedly for the period that under study. So of course because these imported cases are chosen at random, uniformly at random, so every time the result, the spreading, the epidemic dynamic would be different. So you need to calibrate, you need to compare this to the real world data, and then you select those best fit the curve under study, and then yeah, this is how the model works. I hope this.
Okay, well, I think you can probably discuss that offline also if so this is from Dr. Uchida, so if he wants to discuss this more, I guess offline is the best thing now. So let's thank you again.